Kickoff starts now.
So starting off with the Jamal Adams trade, he's been
Jamal
trying
Adams.
Jamal Adams trade. He's been trying to get traded for a while. Finally, the Jets traded him to the Seattle Seahawks, and the Jets traded. The Jets got Bradley McDougald, a first-round pick in 2021 and 2022, and a third-round pick in 2021 for Jamal Adams, and the Jets' fourth-round pick in 2022. So, just looking at this, who do you think won the trade, the Jets or the Seahawks?
Honestly, I think it was pretty fair of a trade. Jamal Adams is a top-tier safety in the NFL, if not the best safety in the NFL. And the Seahawks defense used to be dominant, but in the past few years, it's gone down with the loss of a lot of their key players and injuries. So I think that this addition might be able to elevate the Seahawks defense to what it was a while ago, or at least improve it greatly. But on the Jets side, I don't think that Jamal Adams wouldn't have worked out in New York because it looks like that he was having problems and he was requesting a trade. So while for them it would have been better to keep Jamal Adams, I think that they did get good value in getting 2 first-rounders plus Bradley McDougald and a third-rounder, right?
Yes.
So that's a lot of value. He's a great player. That's why I think it was generally fair.
So I think it was the Jets won that trade by a mile. I really do. I very much do. I'm going to look at the Bears trade with the Raiders. That in hindsight, right now, looks like a pretty fair trade. The Bears probably won it, but not by a gigantic amount, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and originally when it happened, it was me as a Bears fan, I was a little uneasy because of just how much the Bears gave away.
Yeah, so the Bears, it's the same trade where they gave off 2 first-round picks, except they got back a second-round pick, and the Jets got a third-round pick rather than in this situation, the Seahawks, for what they did for the Bears did, the Seahawks would have had to give in the Jets would have had to give in a second-round pick to the Seahawks, but instead the Seahawks gave the Jets a third-round pick. So not only did they not cut it even, they got more. And in my opinion, Khalil Mack is a way more influential player in the NFL than Jamal Adams. Khalil Mack was the Defensive Player of the Year.
Wait, so the Seahawks gave more for Jamal Adams than the Bears did?
Yeah, by a mile.
Oh, wow.
The Seahawks, think about it.
No, because for the Bears, it was 2 first-round. The Bears gave two first-rounders and got a second-rounder back, and the Seahawks gave 2 first-rounders plus a third.
Exactly. And didn't.
Okay, yeah, I got it, yeah.
And they also got Bradley McDougald, which is a safety who I'm not going to say it's ridiculous, but he's a starter to backup player. And I think if the Jets want to be able to win, that this trade I would have done with my eyes closed. I don't know why the Seahawks even did this, because they're sabotaging almost their whole next 2 years' future, and not the whole future, but they need to draft very well in order to be successful. And I think that the Jets, even though
okay. There are a few things I want to say about that. Should I let you finish first, or because it might be a while? Okay, so first of all, the Seahawks, like you like to say a lot about the Bears, the Seahawks are a, quote, win-now team, where Russell Wilson, I firmly believe that no matter what weapons are surrounding him and no matter how depleted their offense looks, Russell Wilson will be able to manage to make their team to the playoffs or make a playoff push no matter what, just because he's that elite of a quarterback. And he's proven that for the past few years when he hasn't had many weapons and still been able to bring this team far into the playoffs. So with that, I'm saying, since I believe that the offense will be good, this addition of Jamal Adams will be able to take the Seahawks to the next level and really maybe make them a elite team and a contender. And also, another point is that this is something that's joked about in the NFL a lot. The Seahawks it just seems like their first rounder doesn't do much and he's kind of forgotten in the next few years. But then they have some like third or fourth or fifth rounder, like a late round pick who ends up like outshining the early rounder, which is funny. Like a lot of their great players were taken in the later rounds. So if I'm a Seahawks fan, I wouldn't be too scared about giving away those picks because the Seahawks are very good at drafting in the late rounds.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with the Bears. Imagine the Bears if they had those 2 first-round picks and they got Khalil Mack, right? I get that you can't really do that, but I'm saying.
Here, wait, I'm gonna look this up real quick. You can keep talking, but
I'm just gonna say that they traded a bit too much for Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams is an elite player, but is he a top 2 defender in the NFL? No. Is he top 5? Debatably, yes. but they should have given up less, maybe a first and a second, not a first and a third. That was too much. The Jets weren't even expecting that much. I don't know how the Jets even managed to get that much. Jamal Adams is going to be in a contract year, I think, after this year. So it's not even a guarantee that he's going to stay in Seattle. Like, it's not like he's locked up definitively unless they sign an extension with him.
Yeah, we don't know if this is like a scenario where Jamal Adams will be not content in whatever team he's on, or really he was just having trouble in New York, and when he comes to Seattle, he'll be fine, you know?
I don't like this trade for many reasons, but I think that the Seahawks, even though they're trying to win now, you also have to take into account that if you're going to trade that many assets, you have to make those players that you're getting for all those assets into top 1 players in the NFL. Like an Aaron Donald.
Top 1.
Like the best at their position, definitively, no doubt. And even though Jamal Adams is debatably the best in his position, he's not the best defender, nor is he the second best. I would say you can make an argument he's not even top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And he's great and all, but was that worth trading that much? No. And there was this thing, I could be wrong, I'm going to search it up really quickly. NFL executives, I think a good amount of the NFL executives thought that the Jets won that trade by a lot.
Okay. Well, I couldn't find the exact players. I know that Bobby Massey was a second rounder. There are a lot of other dominant players, great players now that the Seahawks have taken late in the late rounds. So that just proves my point. Oren, do you want to keep looking it up, or should I just move on to the next segment here?
I just want to end on this statement that when you're willing to give up 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick, you have to understand that this player has to take your defense to an elite level.
Yeah, but do you not think that Jamal Adams will do that?
I mean, the Jets were a top 10 defense last year, but they were like 10. And even
but who else do they have? The Seahawks have some pretty good players still.
I mean, they have Bobby Wagner, who's still pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like the Jets, they have some solid players. I mean,
the Jets had no one else. Jamal Adams carried that entire defense because he can literally.
It's C.J. Mosley. They had some other players I just can't think of right now.
Whatever. I think that Jamal Adams is an exceptional player, and they did pay a heavy price. And the Jets definitely got their money's worth. But I think that the Seahawks also, in a few years, will be looking back, and I think that it will be worth it considering. I think the Seahawks will go far.
I think that the Seahawks will go far, but is it worth it? That's my only question.
We'll see. All right.
Williamson, some other players, Marcus May. But it's like their defense isn't ridiculous, so they have led them to do pretty well. I'm just saying I don't know if it was worth it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
If you enjoyed this episode of From the Den, please remember to subscribe, comment, and like this video.
Or, if you're a Packers fan, remember to dislike and leave a nasty comment. Click the links on the screen to access additional content.